welcome back in. Just another football show. Super Wild Card Weekend in effect. We're trying to hammer out all these fan interviews. Putting in the work. Ryan, appreciate you hanging out and helping out, getting these done.
Oh yeah,
got a lot going on. So it's a lot of work. Extra couple days in the pod this week, but man, ultimately hanging out talking football ain't that much work, right?
You get the Super Wild Card Weekend. You get all the games there over the 3-day span. You can hate on all you want, Casey. I still think it's going to be a great weekend here. And this game, this Giants Vikings.
Well, it's going to be fun. I very much look forward to sitting down and watching all these games. But today we're talking a little Vikings Giants.
Yep.
Gonna talk to OG fan Trevor. He's
way back.
Yeah, he's one of the first ones that we called, probably the first one we ever called to talk Vikings football. So gonna hope he doesn't yell at us too much for me calling his team frauds for the past handful of weeks.
I mean, he's a realist. I think he knows.
I think so too, but we'll see. And then I guess the plan is to talk to Eddie Spaghetti. I'm still trying to hammer these details out as we record this open, but he was with us in the preseason. Love him. He's hanging out over there on the Extra Points Podcast Network. They were in Vegas this weekend, so he's been a little slow on the response. I don't blame him. He's been busy. He's been a busy guy.
It happens.
I'm just happy that he's still willing to join us. He has fun hanging out with us and is willing to come back time after time. I will take it anytime we can get it. So. We saw this game once this year. We're gonna talk to these two guys, see if they think things are gonna shake out the same or differently. I guess those are the options, right?
Check out the rematch, right?
Yeah.
Like it was a close game last time. This is basically everything's kind of lining up the same. Back in U.S. Bank Stadium, back to the Vikings having a narrow betting favorite. I guess they're -3 as we speak right now.
Yep.
So. Should be a good go for two teams that I think are kind of a little bit more evenly matched than we might think.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of the better games of the weekend as far as at least being close goes. I think we might see a couple blowouts. This one I think will be pretty close. But let's get Trevor on the line and see if he feels the same way. All right, so now we got to bring on Trevor. He is one of our many Vikings fans, but
OG,
yeah, he called us twice once because I fucked up saving his file. So we always got to go back to Trevor when we can. Trevor, your Vikings in the playoffs, a relatively really good season. I'd like to say I predicted a good season and a division title for you guys in the preseason. That's got to at least feel pretty good, right?
Yeah, I think we're just happy to be here. I think with the first-year head coach, first-year GM, I think being in the playoffs, just being in the dance is just nice to be part of.
Yeah, and I think you guys line up pretty well with where you're at, right? Some question, right? I don't know. Like I may have been screaming from the rafters about the Vikings being frauds for the past few weeks on the podcast, but you're still in, and you still get to host a home playoff game, right? Like that's a big deal.
Yeah, I think if you were to ask any Vikings fans, we would not necessarily disagree with you. We know we were overperforming, out kicking our coverage there. We've been very fortunate to kind of get the delay that we did.
Yeah, and it seems like this Vikings team has kind of been on the cusp for a while. You got rid of Zim, you bring in Kevin O'Connell here, and now you're not making those like in-game decisions. You're not making those timeout mistakes or clock management mistakes. And this is kind of what the team had been able to do in years past, right? This isn't a wildly different team than the roster last year or a couple of years ago, but now you're not making those mistakes, and here you are. You won the division. You're 13-4. And you get to host the New York Giants, who you already beat once this year, right? 24th of
Barely.
December. 3-point game.
A good game.
Win's a win.
It was a good close game.
They only put a W next to your name. There's no asterisk, so you're perfectly fine. But how do you feel matching up against this Giants team? We know that they've been a team that has been outperforming, a team that has been winning despite circumstances or despite their best effort, despite the fact that they don't have like real wide receivers on this team. They have still been maybe managing to win games. How do you counteract a team like that's just kind of brute forcing their way to these victories?
I think us and the Giants are very similar. I think we both are exceeding our expectations. We're just both happy to be here. The first matchup was kind of chalk. So we won by 3, like the Vikings way. Went on a 61-yard field goal, which I don't know if is necessarily repeatable. But honestly, I think we're kind of in a worse spot than we were back then. Our right tackle, Brian O'Neill, got put on IR. Our starting center, Garrett Bradbury's banged up. His backup went to IR week 16 or week 17. So we're on third string center, second string right tackle. Knowing that Giants defensive line, I think we're going to see some problems on that right side going into the game.
Yeah, it wouldn't be Vikings football without some offensive line woes. Even the guys that you're drafting to be the guys get injured, and you're still on the 6th or 7th iteration of offensive linemen there. And that's kind of the only maybe advantage that the Vikings or not the Vikings, excuse me, the Giants have over the Vikings is that defensive line. The rest of the Giants defense isn't great, right? They're kind of middle of the pack. They're 14th against the pass and 27th against the run, but that's about it, right? Their offense isn't particularly good. They can run the ball well, but I struggle to find like nice things to say about the Giants, which is good because I don't have to right now. I can talk about how good the Vikings are and how you're likely gonna whoop up on them again.
Their first matchup, Daniel Jones threw for 300 yards, which we're hoping not to repeat again. We have Duke Shelley starting at
old Duke Shelley
at cornerback now, so hopefully some changes will help limit Daniel Jones', I guess, aggressive passing attack.
Something no one ever thought they would say out loud ever.
330
with their weapons. Who's their number one receiver?
Richie James was in that game, 90 yards. Isaiah Hodgins, 89. Darius Slade,
it's not Wan'Dale Robinson, I can tell you that.
It's not Wan'Dale Robinson. You owe me money for that.
I do owe you money for that.
But the Giants team, I don't know. There's not a lot of good that they do, but somehow they find ways to win the game. Where the Vikings team, they have a lot of good things that stand out, right? Dalvin Cook, maybe I don't want to say an off year for him, but a year that they haven't needed him maybe as much because of the outstanding play of Justin Jefferson, obviously. Vikings boast the number 6 pass attack in the league, 260 plus per game, and you go against middle of the road Giants pass defense. Is Kirk Cousins going to be able to light this team up? What was it last time? I'm sure 299.
I think JJ went over about. I think JJ had 120, 130, maybe even more at 12 receptions. I think I looked at.
Yeah.
I think that's the recipe for a victory.
12 of 16, 133, and a touchdown. Also a huge T.J. Hawkinson game, 13 of 16 for 109. Damn.
Yeah, so I think our passing game should hopefully keep us in it. I anticipate it being close the entire way, so nothing's ever easy when you have a Vikings game in front of you.
Well, it's either close or you guys are going to get murdered. So
exactly.
Are you actually trusting Greg Joseph? Do you have a kicker that you can rely on week to week?
He's up and down. I said the coaching staff seems to have confidence in him, especially going back to that game where he kicked the game-winning 61-yard field goal. Hopefully by now we kind of got our offense kind of figured out. Defense has been coming on pretty late. So I think it's a good recipe. We just hope it doesn't come down to another kick.
Yeah, Vikings' kind of weak point on the defense is they're 31st in the league, second to last in the league against the pass. But the Giants kind of suck at throwing the ball, I guess, unless they're playing against Minnesota and Danny Dimes has the game of his life.
Yeah, we've seen some more aggressive out of Ed Donatel. Said the very first half of the season was a lot of those shell looks, sitting back, playing coverage, giving up everything over the middle. Now we're seeing a little bit more blitzes. He's incorporating kind of rotating linebackers in. You got Danielle Hunter, Zadarius Smith, I think are both healthy and ready to go. So hopefully a lot of pressure on Daniel Jones will force some turnovers. And again, another recipe for success is those turnovers, which we've been very fortunate this year.
Yeah, you did a great job of kind of, bracketing Saquon. He didn't have a huge game, 84 yards on the ground, 49 yards through the air last time, excuse me. And he was, he's kind of their strong point for the most part. But, turnovers is what you need. You're 12th in the league there, +2. Giants are about the same. They're +3. So I think it is a better matchup maybe than we think, just because Vikings have their own kind of deficiencies, but Giants really aren't good at anything, I don't think. So it's going to be an interesting one. You're still 3-point favorites. At home, you get the Sunday slot, the 3:30 Sunday slot. So whole nation's going to be watching. How do you feel about the game flow and who ends up winning it? What do you think the final score is here?
I'm hoping we come out with a victory. I think with the banged-up offensive line, I think it might be pretty low scoring. I think our defense is coming on late. Their defense has been making some noise. I'm anticipating a 24-17 game within 7 for the Vikings, I'm hoping.
Okay. Yeah, the last game was 27-24, so that'd be right in the wheelhouse there.
Yeah, I'm looking to see Kirk get a little bit more mobile, especially with the right tackle and center out. He was making some runs last week and the week before, so maybe we'll see him spring one.
There you go.
Yeah, that'd be something.
It's his time to shine. Right? The whole world's watching, Kirk. You got to shut up the haters.
Well, it's like late afternoon, so it's
Late
okay.
afternoon.
It's not prime time, right? I mean, everyone's watching, and by the time the game ends, it's like prime time-esque. So
Sun will be setting.
maybe. But I think it'll be just fine. It'll be okay for these Vikings this week. We'll talk about it on Friday, though. Trevor, we appreciate you taking a little time to talk to us, and if you are correct, we'll be bugging you to come on and talk about another game next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so now we gotta get our guy Eddie Spaghetti back on. He's over there working magic at the Extra Points Podcast Network. He took some time. He's been in Vegas this weekend. He found some time between podcasts to talk to us. Eddie, we very, very much appreciate you finding time, but I have a sneaking suspicion any chance you get to talk about them Giants, you are all in, sir.
Yeah, I somehow escaped Vegas alive. Great time with the whole EP crew. A lot of fun there, but I'm back. I'm ready. I'm trying to keep calm before Sunday's matchup versus these Vikings.
Let's say every time this matchup comes, there's a couple games this weekend that we just sort of overlook a little bit. Maybe we shouldn't, but we do. Yeah. But we look at like this game, and it's just we just watched these two teams play a really tight game down to a 61-yard field goal to end it. So
right.
You got to sort of be on edge, like you said, just feeling good. Obviously, this Giants team, I think we sort of felt the same way about this team last year, and it never really manifested to what they could be. Saquon comes out and just has an amazing season this year. Danny Dimes is in a totally different conversation that we'll probably have to have at another time on what happens with him going forward. But this team is in the playoffs in a winnable matchup. You've got to just be excited about that part, right?
Exactly. I mean, this sounds like a cop-out lame answer, but seriously, going from 4 wins to then looking at a rebuild that you assume is going to take multiple seasons, especially if Daniel Jones is not the quarterback. And like you just said, totally different conversation with him, Brian Daboll, Joe Shane. Got to give credit to Mike Kafka, too, who's now getting head coach interview requests. It's just an incredible season to even make the playoffs. And now, this game, the matchup, it is a pretty good matchup for the Giants, out of all the NFC, the bracket here. So I'm happy with the matchup. I think it should be a pretty good game. And you did mention, if you need to win a game with a 60-plus yard field goal, I think the Giants are your team. I'm pretty sure like half the victories like that in the NFL history have all come against the Giants. They seemingly just love to give those 60-plus yarders up. So was a close matchup. I think this one will be close too, but I am feeling pretty good about it.
I was going to say, how has this team been winning a game? Like winning these games, excuse me. Like looking at the roster, not great. They don't really have a wide receiver core maybe at all.
The wide receiver thing's so
Richie
weird.
James might be the top guy there. And so how has this team been winning games? I know Saquon playing very well, but other than him, there's not a lot, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, it starts with Saquon, obviously, him being back and healthy, and not just healthy, but being being what he was, being a top end running back in this league, having a phenomenal season when it was a pretty bad year for running backs across the board, maybe outside of a handful. But he's been great because obviously he does everything. He could run the ball, catch the ball, he could pass block. Offensively, you got to look to just the maturation of Daniel Jones, working magic with Mike Kafka, not turning the ball over. Using his legs when he needs to, or I should say using his arm when he needs to, because it seems like he runs more than he throws the ball. But he's been, it's incredible. He deserves the gig going forward. I think it'd be really dumb to look for a rookie quarterback and bring someone in and then just delay this, strike while the iron's hot. I'm sick of this window talk of, championship window. The window is whenever it happens. And then that's just the simple fact of the matter here. So, Brian Daboll's worked wonders, but they're kind of bereft of talent. You're right. Like the receiver core early in the year, Darius Slayton was the guy. I think he led the team in receiving yards. Then for a bit, it was Richie James, obviously the eye injury to Daniel Bellinger at tight end, the rookie. And then Isaiah Hodgins out of nowhere, a Buffalo Bills player, is on the practice squad. Don't know why they let him go. He's been awesome. I think he actually has a legitimate shot of being a real solid receiver in this league. So, I mean, they're making magic with not much, and the O-line struggled a bit. Evan Neal hasn't gotten quite to where he's supposed to, but that's kind of what you expect with rookie tackles. Mm-hmm. But he should be fine at right tackle besides Andrew Thomas, who's been an all-pro. And then defensively, the one thing I really like about this game is the addition getting back Xavier McKinney, who dealt with the hand injury, and getting back Adoree Jackson, who had the knee injury on a kick return. So I'm happy about that. Julian Love's been a really nice surprise. Led the team with tackles, led the team with 2 interceptions. Dexter Lawrence, all pro. I mean, so there's not a ton of talent. They're not really deep at positions, but the guys that make an impact make a significant impact, and that's kind of the difference of why they went from a 4-win team to where they are now.
Yeah, and I think chalk that up to coaching, right? Obviously, Brian Dable being the guy there, but Wink Martindale on the defensive side, Mike Kafka, like you mentioned, on the offensive side, getting the most out of the guys that they have and leading them, to the playoffs here. I was looking through the only teams that the Giants lost to were all playoff teams except for the Lions, who should have been in the playoffs, and a tie to the Commanders. So even like the losses, chalk those up to some degree. Like these are lost to good teams. So I think this team is really opening a lot of eyes, really a head scratcher for most of the time, but it's showing, the power of or how important it is to have a coach, a leader of men there. And that's why Brian Dable, Casey and I talked about it earlier, that Brian Dable is likely the coach of the year, and the job he has done this year has been phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've been preaching this to whoever listens. I've been saying on all our shows at Extra Points. I've been saying to even my friends, whoever, like I said, whoever listens. Like the idea of going, starting a team over, trying to get your Patrick Mahomes type player to fix all issues is just so. It does not make sense. It's not something you can count on. There's been a ton of quarterbacks coming into the league recently who have either taken, a lot of time to really get going, or have just flat out not been great. Like Zach Wilson and Mac Jones. I mean, Trevor Lawrence really didn't come on to the last few games or so. Like, there's just so many guys. Trey Lance injured, I get that, but didn't really play much. Jordan Love still has not played significant time in the league. There's just so many first round guys that you're not really sure about. There are a bunch of question marks, and to me, what Daboll did significantly with Daniel Jones and making him from a guy that's probably on the way out to now deserving of another contract just shows you how good he is. He's the right guy for the job. And I think that more teams need to realize that. More teams need stability. You mentioned the Lions, like Dan Campbell, a guy that some teams would have fired immediately. They kept him around. People love him. We saw it in Hard Knocks. Everyone loves him. And like you said, an inch away from making the playoffs. It wasn't for a Seahawks victory. So I think the Texans need to, kind of look internally and go, what were our expectations? Why are we firing coaches after, 16, 17 games in back-to-back seasons? It's pretty ridiculous because you have to somehow start building a foundation. And I think that, the teams who let their coach figure out their problems are the good ones. And the Giants have had their fair share of coaches, obviously starting from McAdoo into Shermer, into the Joe Judge debacle, and plus, David Gettleman didn't really help things at GM, but I think now they have their coach of the future for quite a long time, hopefully.
Quite the gauntlet of head coaches there. Some names blast from the past there. So talk me through what you think the game plan is here for the game this weekend. You got the semi-high-powered Vikings offense, right? Obviously, Justin Jefferson is powerful.
Yeah.
Is the game plan? We say it over and over and over, right? The game plan is play good defense and keep those guys off the field, or with the way that the Giants' offense is sort of. I don't know. I don't want to say that they're not built to put up a lot of points, but they're built better than some of these other teams we see in the postseason, I suppose. We just talked to our Ravens fan. Your team's built a hell of a lot better to put up points than they are currently right now. Is that sort of the game plan? What do you think the game plan is for this team and what they would like to see happen in order to win this game?
What the Giants would love to see happen is Saquon Barkley dictates the game, because that means a few things. It means, number one, you're not really asking much of Daniel Jones, and not a slight against Jones. It's more so you're not asking the receiving core to do a whole heck of a lot. And if Saquon's dictating the game, that means Giants are probably leading in time of possession. They're just, ground and pound. And that means that Kirk Cousins is not on the field with Justin Jefferson. I do think that Daniel Jones has been playing the best football of his career, starting probably around December into this stretch. I think that game versus the Colts was huge for him, just to really light it up and just kill that team. I know the Colts aren't very good, but just to get like that confidence boost was so good. He was just picking them apart with his feet or with his arm. And I mentioned before, getting back Xavier McKinney and Adoree Jackson is so critical for the Giants, because that allows Wink Martindale to blitz the crap out of them, which he wants to do, because now you could rely on your few good DBs you have there healthy. I mean, these guys playing their best, again, are Pro Bowl, all-pro type players. and anything to slow down Justin Jefferson. I'm not saying stop because you really can't do that, but to slow him down. Adoree being back is so big for them, and let guys like Leo Williams and Dexter Lawrence kind of rush from the middle, rush from the A gaps, and make Kirk Cousins move from the pocket. It's a 4:30 Eastern start.
Yep.
This is Kirk Cousins, under the lights, primetime game, a playoff game. Like we all know the story with him, he has not been solid. Obviously, if he turns the ball over, that helps the Giants a lot. Reversely, Giants can't turn the ball over. Jones did a really good job of not doing that, but I think if Saquon really is having his way with them, and you're not asking much from Daniel Jones, that probably means a Giants victory. You got to just hope your fingers crossed that Kirk Cousins makes some mistakes here. But I like the fact the Giants had to rest everyone last week versus the Eagles. The Vikings did play their starters a little bit more than I thought they would have. But I just think that losing that first game to them, but keeping it close was great. If we won that game, I would have felt a little bit worse. But this one coming into it super healthy, I just think they had a lot of time to prepare, and I do think the Giants should come out this game with a victory.
All right. Eddie, give me a little breakdown of what you're going through during game day, 4:30 Eastern time there, and then give me a final score for this game. So tell me how you feel it, how you think it's going, or how it goes.
Well, I hate watching my team play with other people if they're not
preaching
fans,
to the choir,
so.
sir.
Yeah, so I'm sitting by myself, just by myself with the TV. Sometimes the laptop open, sometimes not. I'll probably be super focused. I'm not as nervous as I should be. Obviously, my nerves really start, cranking up if the Giants do win this first game and have to face the Eagles in round 2. I just still feel really, really good about this one for a number of reasons, like I listed. And I just think and I don't want to take away from the Vikings. Obviously, they have like 13 wins. The Kirk Cousins to Justin Jefferson's one of the best, duos in the league. Dalvin Cook, obviously no slouch himself, but I think the Giants have done a really good job at stopping the pass, especially when they have their full slate of DBs. And they're going to be game planning to make sure that Dalvin Cook doesn't get a 100-yard game on them. So I do like the Giants to stop that. I think this is a game probably in the 20s. So I'm going to go. I'm going to go 28-24. Giants win, and they win outright, so I don't have to worry about covering. So I think they will win a tight one, but yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough because that Vikings offense can put up points whenever they need to.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the funner games to watch this weekend. I think it's this one and then probably that Chargers-Jags game, in my opinion. But Eddie, we appreciate you popping on with us. Like I said, I know you're busy doing all the work over there at EP. We very much appreciate it. Everyone needs to check that out. It's those podcasts jump to the top of my queue when they come out. So appreciate all the work you're doing over there as well, sir.
Oh, thank you. It's very kind of you to say that. And anytime you guys need me to come on, I'll hop on and do it. And hopefully we're talking again after the Giants wild card round victory.
Giants win this week. We'll be bugging you next week to find some time and pop on with us again, sir.
I'll take that. That's music to my ears. I'll take that any day.
Love it. Love to hear it. All right, man. We appreciate you.
Of course, guys.
All right, another one down. That's going to be a good game, man. This is one I think I'm looking forward to most. I think this is the one I'm looking forward to most this weekend. Really,
it very well could be. I know that some of the games we've already kind of chalked up to being blowouts, but I think this is going to be a close one. We've seen it before. We saw it very close, 61-yard field goal. I know we've talked about that a lot, but like that's the difference between these teams really on paper is a 61-yard field goal. So cannot wait till Sunday, 3:30 p.m.
3:30.
Our time, Central Time, for this one to kick off.
Guys, we appreciate everyone that's listening. If you've listened to this one, you missed some of the other ones, make sure you're going back wherever you're listening to this, be it YouTube, Facebook. You found it in the Facebook group. You found maybe a clip from this. I got to work on that, getting those clips up on the old Instagram and maybe out on the old TikTok. Like we're all over the place. If you guys found your way here, please make your way over to the podcast. We'd appreciate you giving us a listen. This is a good example of what we're doing on the podcast, but we're it's a little different. So we'd appreciate you guys popping over and giving the podcast a try. It's the least we can hope for, I guess, is what we're going for. So, all right, guys, make sure you guys are checking out all the other ones. There are previews up for all of these, or there will be by the end of day, hopefully Friday, maybe Saturday morning, maybe that Monday game goes up on Saturday morning, but all of these previews will be up in plenty of time before the games start. Ryan, appreciate you for hanging out and doing it. We will be back for the next one. This has been Just Another Football Show.
See ya.
Act one, scene one. Oh.